This time on CNG Performance, we ride the project car emotional roller coaster. And I'm glad to be off that ride. Man. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. For this time we're getting right into the nitty gritty. If you watched the last episode, you saw us rebuild that 440. We did some work on the differential for this truck. My buddy Eric came by. We got the automatic overdrive kind of reconfigured to actually shift on time for this thing. And we're getting right to work. We're not messing around this time. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop us a comment. We enjoy hearing from all of you guys out there. And yep, as you can probably guess, Eric is still the best friend in the world because he still lets us come in here and work on our junk and use up all of his shop, all of his tools, and all of his lift. And if you can't tell, we are dead in the middle of getting the axles pulled out of our 8 3/4 rear end so that Detroit tru-track equipped 8 3/4 center section we put together in the last episode with the 355 gear set can go back in our street truck. Because 486s may provide a lot of fun, they don't provide a lot of fuel mileage. There it goes. Sweet. Nice. Now we can pull the chunk out. Not for tall people. Come out. I'm gonna leave you there just as a safety catch, just in case. Give it back. I just know any minute I'm gonna clock my brain over here on one of these. It's gonna happen. I'll leave you guys up here for better access later. Okay, they're all out, all out. Yeah, we caught most of it, I think. The unmistakable smell of gear oil. Blech. Gross. Alright, big girl, slow and easy. Come to daddy. Boom! There's chunks in here. Why are there chunks in here? I don't feel like there should be any chunks in here at all. Good gravy. This thing is quite a bit heavier than that spool unit. We don't have any spare parts? I guess we did something right.
No, something wrong. I can still see all the way through.
Well, we'll fix that in a minute. I'm not even going to wipe off the excess. That's just extra leak protection as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna try to go gentler this time. And it's immediately going over.
Yeah, it's going clean.
Yeah, that wheel, the stud for that wheel is bent or something. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right, trade. That way I can reach in here and shove. Okay. Coming on. A little more. Okay, whoa.
Trying to go backwards on.
Yeah. Okay, stop. Yeah, we're gonna have to pull it just a touch. All right.
Ready?
Sure. I'm gonna turn it a little bit. Ooh, slow down. That went quick.
I was looking down instead of up.
Yeah. Yeah, hold on.
Motor back there.
Yeah, we need to pull it out again.
Pull forward again.
Just, yeah, about 2 inches. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right. Come on down. Ouch. Okay, once we get past the wiper motor, we should have all the room we want.
It's way good up here.
Okay, because I'm trying to.
2-3 inches if we need to come up.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep it from catching the.
It's kind of lowering it to your side too.
That's fine. Okay. Ooh, we're gonna need some more elevation. That'll work. All right, let me get this under here. Look at all this room for activities. All right, let me back up a little bit, and then I'll come out and we can bring the truck down. Try this at home, kids. Oh, get back on there. I just gotta remember which way this went. I don't think it matters, but I just don't remember. Alright, so now that all the hero work is done, we got the big block in, the transmission's in, everything's bolted down, they're locked to each other, locked to the truck, that's all good to go. Now we get to go through all the boring things that take forever, like what I'm about to do. Bolt the flex plate to the converter and then start with the shift linkage and the kick down, trans-cooling lines, all that neat stuff. Which, in case I didn't mention it earlier, the converter that we decided to go with is from Big End Products. It's a 2500 stall. I've had a 3000 stall in here before. It worked okay. Went all the way up to a 4000. It didn't do so well. It made for a lot of heat driving around in town, so I figured I'd try to step down to a little bit tighter converter. Turn the motor over just a little bit. Find my mark, which should be there somewhere. I think I see it coming around. Bring the converter to me a little bit. Like so. Should be right. There. Here's one down. 3 more to go. Like I said, once we get the converter bolted up, we'll go through and we'll hook up the shift pivot arm that goes in the bell housing and transmission, the shift linkage, kickdown linkage, trans-cooler lines. We've already got neutral safety plugged in, overdrive's plugged in, speedometer cable's plugged in, so I mean we're mostly done under here. we'll have to set the truck down. Well, I need to put the starter in too. I'm not gonna leave this header loose for that. It'd leave me a little more room, but we'll get all that done. And then we'll bring the truck down, tighten up the headers, and then just keep on keeping on, bolting things together. Well, folks, we did go ahead and get this thing lit off a little while ago. We had some issues with the distributor that we were using, so we went back to old reliable. We got the MSD unit back in here. I will get back into that Mopar unit and try to figure out why it won't trigger the ignition, because that's really all it came down to. I mean, as soon as we hooked this one up to it, it lit right off. We did the standard procedure of crank until it pops through the carburetor to learn that we were 180 degrees out on the distributor. So we scared the you-know-what out of my nephew, because he was over here helping us. You may or may not remember him. He was there when we fired up that 5.9 Magnum on the floor, and he thought he was a comedian. But yeah, we fired this thing off, and then we learned we had quite a few leaks. He was actually the one that caught it. At some point in these valve covers history, we had gone a little too crazy tightening the bolts on these things, and it pulled the metal through. We just came in here with the old reliable Mickey Thompson valve covers that I had on this motor the first time I built it, and they're a little worse for wear. I mean, they've seen better days, but they should do just fine, because this thing was literally just gush and oil out of the bottom rail on the valve covers. But it did light off, it did sound good. This echo chamber that we've got it in does not do it justice. So tomorrow we'll push this thing outside and fire it up for you guys. But for tonight, I think we're going to pack it in. We had a long day. It was a good day, but it was a long day, and we're kind of tired and pretty thirsty. So we're going to wrap it for tonight, and we'll catch you guys in the morning. So from where you're sitting, this probably looks like the perfect picture, because the truck is all together, everything's connected, everything's buttoned up, hoses, fluids, etc., etc. But it has actually been a couple weeks. To catch you guys back up for everything that you missed, I started to put coolant in this thing. The water pump that was brand new in 2018 when I built this motor the first time immediately started pouring water out of the weep hole. So we placed an order on Amazon. About 4 days later, we got a water pump in the mail. I'm not sure what it fit, so we smashed the return button. 4 or 5 days later, we got the right one in the mail. I rushed it over here to Eric's. He sprayed it with some orange, bolted it on the motor, hook up all the hoses, plug in all the connections, and tried to start the thing. And that's when we ran into problem number one. There was a list of them, and I'm gonna try to go through them all as quickly as I can, so bear with me. Apparently the magnetic pickup inside the distributor wasn't sending a signal to the MSD box, so we weren't getting spark. Luckily for us, I still had the old MSD billet distributor sitting over on the table. We stabbed it in the motor. It kicked right over, to the point where it backfired through the carburetor, telling us that we had the distributor 180 degrees out. This spark plug's supposed to be firing, but the rotor is facing completely away from it. So we just pull the distributor out, rotate it 180, stab it back in. Now we're back in time. Once we did get the thing to light off, it was apparent right away that we had a major problem. This thing was running pig rich. We couldn't lean it out. We turned the fuel pressure down. We turned the air mixture screws on the carburetor to try to lean this thing out. And it was still, within like 2 minutes, tears from your eyes. You couldn't breathe in this shock because of how just rich this thing was running. It was just dumping raw fuel out of the exhaust. Well, you ever get those shower thoughts? I had one. I thought somehow or another when we were rebuilding the nitrous solenoids that maybe something went wrong. Maybe got a piece of dirt caught under the piston or something, right? Took the nitrous solenoids off, got them open, and that's when I realized I didn't do it, number one. So let's just get that out of the way. I had a friend of mine who was over here helping me change the towers on the nitrous solenoids. Love my friends to death, but sometimes I wonder if the bus they rode to school is a little bit shorter than everybody else's. They had gotten the nitrous and fuel towers in the solenoids backwards. Once we got those towers swapped back where they belong, that cured our overfueling problem. Given the amount of time that we were checking the ignition and cranking on this thing, trying to get it to fire the first time, bear in mind that the fuel pump runs anytime the key is in the on or run position. Since we had a fuel leak back there and it's fed directly to a plate underneath the carburetor, that means that anytime we had the key on and the fuel pump was running, we were pouring fuel into this motor. We put 6 quarts of oil in this motor, but yet we drained about 14 to 15 quarts of gaseous dark fluid out of this motor. Dumped the oil out of it, poured some fresh stuff in, spun our oil filter off, and cut it open. Luckily, we didn't find any metal material, no sparkles, no glitter, nothing in the oil filter media. Spun a new filter on, rolled this thing outside, and fired it back up. Had great oil pressure, and it still rattled and clattered like the cam was going away. Yanked the intake in the valley pan after we pulled the valve covers and discovered we had 4 or 5 lifters that you could just mash with your thumb without any effort because they were collapsed. I had a brand new set of Crower lifters for another big block project that you guys are going to see real soon. Dropped them in here, we buttoned the motor back together, got it to fire up, broke the cam in at 2 to 2200 RPM for about 20 minutes. And when it settled down into an idle, it finally started to sound good. Then problem number 6 or 5 or whatever number we're at right now, you pull the transmission selector into D, truck didn't move. Cast your minds back to the last episode when we swapped pumps between the 2 transmissions. Everything I've read on the interwebs tells me that you can run a 727 pump in an A518. Maybe that only works for the gas applications. I don't know if the diesel transmissions are any different, but evidently this one doesn't like a gas-powered 727 front pump in this transmission. So we got the donor trans back over here again, swapped them back to the way they were originally, stabbed the transmission back in the truck, filled it back up with fluid, fired it up, dropped it in gear, and the back tires turned in the right direction. So, if I still have you guys' attention after all that nonsense, we finally have, after 4.5 years, our big block D100 ready to hit the road, I think, and we're gonna go drive it. Let's take a ride. Transmission might still be a little low on fluid, so it may delay that 2-3 ship a little bit, but we'll work that out. I gotta know one thing though. Yeah, it will. Pretty easily. So there it is. We finally got this thing to run. It still needs things. We got our truck back. I can't say enough. My friend Eric helping me out, even though he only had one good arm. Sorry about that, buddy, but it wouldn't be possible without your help. We'll do more with this truck as time presses on. Can't take it to the track right now, which is good because it gives us time to break this motor in, get the rings to seat, because we're still having some blow by. So that may be an issue we address later on down the road. But for the time being, it does run. We'll get the hood on in a couple of days. We'll get this thing tagged and legal, and I'll start putting some miles on it. So in the meantime, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can catch Cassandra at MopartChick85 on Instagram. You can catch me at Gary's_garage83 on Instagram. We really appreciate you sticking with us through this long project, even though it did take 2 episodes to get it done. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.